Hey guys, how's it going? Oh boy. Okay, it's been a while since I did this. Don't worry, Lisa. It'll be recorded on YouTube. Uh-oh, let me turn this down. Don't worry, Lisa. It'll be recorded on. Okay. Yay, hi guys. Oh, so how you guys doing? Y'all hanging in there? Did you get your kits? You guys are so cute. Yeah, all of my live streams are stored. I think they're in a different like tab or something, but yeah, they're definitely stored. Hi, Lisa. Blue Chill. I can't remember what your name was. I remember I sent you an order though. Pretty sure. I think Lisa was the first one to Shauna. Right, that's right. Shauna, I remember you. Okay, I know now. Lisa, I think you were the first one to request one of these little bundles. Um, let's just hang out for just a few minutes and see if anybody else wants to hang out. Um, sorry about I still am not able to actually adjust my camera, like the zoom on my camera, because there's just no I don't have the like professional version of StreamYard and I'm not going to pay for it. So I think that's probably why I'm not able to control my camera from there. Um, but anyway, I think you guys can see pretty well. So my sewing machine's taking up most of the space here. But yeah, I'm not feeling super good, you guys. My tummy's kind of feeling weird. Anyway, so did everybody get their kits? Hi, Deb and Dodie. Hello. Hello, Isabel. Welcome. Hey, Lisa. Well, thanks for coming to hang out, Isabel. You like it? Oh, good. It was fun to put those together. Right on. Oh, you got it on. You just got it yesterday? Ooh, that was close. There was some that I didn't get sent out until Tuesday this week. So hopefully those two people got their kits. But if not, yeah, it'll be recorded and Can you guys hear me okay? I hope you guys can hear me all right. Yep, absolutely, Lisa. All of my live streams are stored. Well, I actually did delete some from years ago, um but yeah, it'll be recorded for sure. It's probably not going to be, hours long, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys maybe a little inspiration or, kind of talk to you about how I put these together. I did so what kind of started this was I had done a series of Reader's Digest journals, and I've kind of changed my sort of style, I guess, of journals that I like to make. And mostly what I've been doing for the last year or so are more like naked journals. So there's not much as far as embellishment in them. I think that that just is nice for people to do that themselves, and it's not my like most favorite thing to do. So my most favorite thing to do is cutting paper and stitching journals together and making covers and that kind of stuff, more technical kind of things. So So that's kind of the direction I've gone, but I do like to sort of zhuzh them up a little bit, you know, if I can. And so I made some drawstring bags that I put those journals in. And I just loved making them. They were so fun to make. And so I just, you know, what kind of kicked that off was I had sorted out all of my fabric and you know, organized it to the point where I know what I have and where it is and that kind of stuff. So most of my fabric was just kind of shoved in these big plastic tubs under my couch. So, but I did get everything all sorted out. So now I feel like it's just inspiring when you start sorting things and, you know, you realize what you have and you start thinking of different ways you can use it and that kind of stuff. So, Grandma Rees. Hi, Rita. Well, I'm hardly ever live, Rita, so that would be part of the reason. Yeah, you've been changing your mind a lot, Artsy. Well, you know, I think the best thing is to just, well, you mean from the kit? Did you get a kit or? Oh, you want to make the girls a bag, Deborah? Well, yeah, make them up. Are you talking about these kits? You need more kits? Well, I think I have like I do have some. Let's see, there's 5, 6. I have 8 left. So if any of you guys would like one, I'm doing them for $25 and then $9 for shipping, and so that covers the priority shipping. Okay, so if you do want one, I do have some available, and it would be, you know, a random you know, colors and that kind of thing, but they're all kind of the same. So if you want all of them, Deborah, you can have them. Let me give you my email address in case anybody would like that. And I'm not sure if the chat will save. Oh, that's the wrong email. Hold on. I'm not sure if the chat will save on the video, but I'll try to remember to put it in the description. All right, there's my email. Hello, Annabelle. Oh, right on. I'm super happy. I'm glad you guys like them. So I'm not gonna, well, I guess I could probably go through one of these. So when I first offered these on a video, it's been a couple weeks now, I hadn't actually made them up. So this might be a good opportunity for me to show you what's actually in them. So I just did a sample of some quilt top fabric, mostly just to use for embellishments or for a pocket, something like that. And then some type of, you know, crochet border kind of linen or something. Some of that really pretty floral tablecloth. It's mostly inspired by these vintage tablecloths that I picked up. This was a set of curtains. This was that beautiful rose tablecloth with the rose print. And I still have some of the napkins from that too. And then, so just pieces of tablecloth, and each piece, you know, is probably about that big. I would say maybe 12 by 20, something like that. Tablecloth, just some more kind of linen, like a, you know, a dresser scarf or something like that. And then some vintage sheets and pillowcases. And then each kit I put in a little chunk of chenille. I did make one bag recently that has a little bit of chenille in it. Actually, like one side is chenille. And then just some other like upholstery fabrics. I picked the ones that I had a quantity of, and I tried to give you enough fabric where you could make two, drawstring bags that are about that size, roughly. And then this is that daisy fabric. So I also actually don't really have much of this left now. So, and then I went ahead and just did, 4 arm lengths of this cotton macrame cord. And then I thought you could also use some seam binding for your drawstring too, if you wanted to. Like, especially if you wanted to make a smaller bag, you could use the seam binding. So I just tied it up with that. Anyway, so yeah, send me an email if you are interested in one of these kits. I've only got 8 left, and I don't have supplies to make any more. So that would be it. And those are going to be first come, first serve. So I've got some other bags that I put together just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm shooting for. So this is kind of made with basically similar materials as what's in that kit. And so it's basically like an inside out kind of idea, like when I first started making these, I thought it's so much work doing things inside out, and then the planning, like you sew things together with the wrong sides out and then turn them, and it was just getting to be a real hassle, and it was gonna take a lot more work than I had anticipated to make them look like, factory made or whatever. And so I just started just stitching stuff together, and just kind of any way it was the easiest way to do, So this part is actually like flipped out instead of in, and I didn't worry about like hemming the edges and that kind of thing, because I thought this would be really fun for people to do their own kind of stitching on, and you could do some embroidery around these borders. You could cut pieces off of these edges if you wanted to. Just do all kinds of stuff. And then I just made pockets and stitched those on before I put the bag together. So I didn't do any pockets on the inside of the bag. So these are actually a little smaller than the ones that I did before, because I plan on, I've made some journal covers, and I wanted to make a bag that these would fit in. So that was my intent. So I've got 24 of these that I'm working on, and then the just little trifold journals made out of a file folder. So and I think I'm just going to do these with really simple paper, just with like coffee dyed paper and maybe some ledger or something like that. So anyway, so these are a little smaller than the ones that I made before. And then I thought it would be fun to make some even smaller ones, like some little tiny ones, So anyway, those kits basically have enough fabric for you to make 2 like large ones. Oh, Francine, you got one? You got a journal? Right on. I'm glad you like it. How the name Two Silver Oranges came about? Well, my mom, for a long time, my mom wanted to have like a little shop, like a little like secondhand store or something like that, and she always thought it would be cool to call it the Silver Orange. And because I mean, I've never been able to figure out any words that rhyme with silver or orange, but those are the 2 words apparently that there's no words that rhyme with them. So that was why she wanted to call her little shop the Silver Orange. And so I kind of stole the name from my mom when I started my Etsy shop a long time ago. It's like 5 or 6 years ago. And when I first started doing that Etsy shop, I was going to do it with my daughter-in-law. So that's why it turned out to be 2 silver oranges. And then she wound up, not really being interested in doing it. And so I just continued on my own, and I just decided to keep the name the same. And there's also kind of this little trend that I don't know if anybody's even noticed, but when people are naming like their restaurants or, little gift shops or different places like that, what they're doing is they're like, there's one like the purple moose, or the that they use a color and then an animal, and then and then that's what they name their restaurant. I can't think of any more off the top of my head, but that's why. That's kind of part of it too. So so it's kind of, I guess the silver oranges part is like one of a kind or something, Anyway, so that's what it was all about. But thanks for asking. I haven't explained that for a long time. And I'm so sorry, you guys. Anybody who bought one of these kits, I completely forgot to put your thread in the package. I was going to just toss a couple spools of thread in each package, and I totally forgot. And I'm really, really sorry. But I figured most of you guys probably are set on thread. So if you have if you have some fabric and you've got a sewing machine, get her fired up, get her ready to go. Make sure you're. I actually like to change the color of my thread now and then, just because I think in some parts I like to use white, just because I don't want to overwhelm the project with too much like stitching showing. So I'm just going to grab some fabric pieces and see what I can do. So hang on a second, guys. I'm just going to grab some scraps from when I was putting together these other bags. I think it would be fun to do even like some patchwork. So for the pockets, I do kind of like to have a little bit heavier fabric, just to give the pockets a little bit more stability. I don't think I'm going to use any chenille today. I do want to use a little bit of this stuff though. Yes, it came from my mama. And she actually was going to do an Etsy shop for a while there with her jewelry and some handmade cards. She used to do this thing called iris paper folding. If anybody wants to look it up and check it out. It's just how it sounds, iris paper folding. And she used to make these really beautiful cards. Actually, I have this. I think I might use this. I have this apron. That might be kind of fun. Yeah, I'm going to use part of this apron. So I'm just going to decide on what size I want to do. So I'm just going to kind of do, maybe around 12 by 20, sort of like the same size as what I made those ones with the journals. And if I feel like the fabric will tear in a straight line, then I'm going to tear it. So I'm going to need 4 pieces. So I need 2 for the front and 2 for the back. You know what? Let's use this one because this already has a little pocket. Let's use that size. Use that chunk. And then I think I'm going to actually cut that a little bit shorter. I should say tear it a little bit shorter. I'm going to have to get the iron out and some starch. So that's going to be, I think I'll do this as the back. I'm not sure I want to use that. All right, let's do some of this vintage sheet. I do believe many of you guys got a piece of this in your kit. So let's find another. Okay, so this piece is a little short, so I want to add a piece at the bottom here. And it doesn't have to be complicated, just anything. Yeah, even just like a piece of this. This is a drop cloth. Come on. Of course, it won't tear. There we go. Okay, so that's going to be the bottom. And then this will be the front. So this one needs another piece on that side. So I'm just going to use a piece of this little tea towel out that size. So there's obviously like no measuring, no pattern. It's kind of just making, I'm just making 4 panels that are about the same size, basically. So I want one that'll line, one on the inside front and the inside back. Okay, so here's another piece of that drop cloth. Then this is another piece of a tea towel. Okay, so I've got, these are my 2 lining pieces. And then I've got to stitch these together. Okay, these 2 need to go get stitched together vertically, and then one across the bottom here. Okay, so we've got that kind of sorted out. I got to get the iron out, and let me get those ironed, and it just makes it a little easier to work with if you've got some stiffness to the fabric. And it helps you kind of get your, keep everything flat. So this is my little desktop ironing situation. This is a tea towel. I know it looks gross, but it's got lots of coffee dyed stuff on it, and it's got a lot of starch on it right now. So there. So, you know, if you want to make smaller ones, if you want to make a smaller bag, just tear your pieces smaller. You know, it's totally versatile. So I've been searching for spray starch and stuff, and it's been kind of hard to find here in town, actually, in stores. This is, so I was looking for one that was kind of stiff. So this has like a little bar right here that'll show you how stiff it comes out. So this is crisp, this is soft. So this one is like almost to crisp. So this one is pretty good. I found this at Target, and I bought two cans of it a while ago, like about a month and a half ago. And then I went back about a week ago, and I was going to buy like 3 or 4 cans because it was like $2.60 or something like that. So I was going to buy like 4 or 5 cans of it. But they only had one, and this was the last one, and they're not going to carry it anymore. So it kind of made me upset. But this I found actually at Rite Aid. And it's okay, but it's not as stiff. See, it's like the little arrow is down closer to soft. So this one I've had to just do it like twice, like put 2 coats on it, you know. But what's nice about these is that, because I know that there's liquid starches and there's home recipes that you can make to make, you know, fabric starch and stuff, but a lot of those leave kind of a film, and they're just not extremely pleasant. So, but these are nice because they're really kind of like unnoticeable when, you know, once you use it. And I don't know, I just don't really like the idea of using like cornstarch and stuff like that. Maybe just for a craft project, that would be fine. You know, like if you were, there's lots of fabric stiffeners out there too. So whoops, I wanted to use the stiffer one. Oh, there's Rosemary. Hi, Rosemary. Oh, fine. I have a moderator. I think you might be my only moderator at the moment, Rosemary. We're talking about spray starch. Oh, I forgot. I wanted to show you guys. I got some Happy Mail that I wanted to show you, and I wanted to say thank you for. And I'll do that. Hopefully I won't forget. Remind me if I forget, okay, somebody? Anyway, so I just like to iron with a little bit of spray starch because it just makes things hold their shape a little better. Makes them a little bit more, what's the word? Makes them behave. Oh, it's Josie. Hi, Josie. Now I got 2 moderators. Oh, Tamar's here. Hi, Tamar. Did you get your kit? Josie, did you get your kit? Please say you did. I don't think you live too far from Spokane, so hopefully you did. It didn't actually go out until Tuesday, so just ironing. I love ironing. I have all this coffee dyed paper. It's actually tea dyed paper. I use instant tea for my coffee dyeing, my tea dyeing. I use instant tea. I mean, why not? It's easy. You did? Oh, yay. I was so nervous that you weren't going to get it. Yay. Okay, so I'm ironing these. I'm ironing. I love ironing. Yeah, so I have all this paper that I always iron my tea dyed stuff paper after it's dry. It's just so relaxing. And some people don't iron theirs. I think some people don't iron theirs, but I don't think it changes the like crispness or the sound of it or anything, because I know a lot of people like the sound of like coffee dyed paper. Come on now. This cord got stuck around the sewing machine. Just ironing my little pieces that I'm going to stitch together, and then I'm going to figure out what I'm going to use for pockets, and then that stuff's got to get ironed too. And thank you for my Thank you for my glue sticks, my little glue fairy. Josie is my glue fairy, in case you guys didn't know that. Hooligan mama. I was looking. I had this this pair of coveralls that I bought at a like a, I guess it's an antique store here in Spokane, called Boulevard Mercantile. Long time ago, I bought a pair of coveralls in there because I just love the fabric, and I've used most of it, but I had saved the two back pockets, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna see if they have any more, because I'd love to have another pair just to use the fabric now, especially now. And so I called them the other day to ask them if they had any more of those coveralls, and they do. So I said, well, what are they running? Like, what's the pricing on them? And they're averaging about $60-$70. So I was like, yeah, I don't think so. Okay. So that's either the front or the back. I'm not sure. That's the other. And then, so let's see. These can go here. Just kind of laying them out on there. These can go here. Let's put on that side. All right, I'm going to stitch this stuff together, and then we'll look at pockets. Got to have pockets. Okay, so I'm going to stitch this together with white thread because actually no, I'm going to do a dark blue thread. Because I sort of want that stitching to show. So I'm using the Singer Fashion Mate that I picked up at Joann's last year. And I actually did an unboxing sort of review of it. And it's actually been a really good machine. I'll tell you, I really like the automatic threader on this machine a lot better than on that Brother machine. It's not as particular. Anyway, so on a zigzag. And then the other thing that was kind of cool on this machine, see if you guys can see this. Pretty sure you can. So see on the dial how, like, next to the zigzag, there's actually three patterns on the zigzag. So I was like, I knew that was there, but I didn't really know how to get to it, like how to select those and what they looked like. So I just happened to notice these two little marks on here. One is S1 and S2, and that one happens to be blue and that one's red. So I figured, oh, that must correlate with this. So I just tried them, and they actually came out really cool. Like, so I'm going to use one of those because it makes it like a double line, but you can't see it. It just makes it like thicker. I'll show you the difference. It's really cool. And that's how you select all of those different stitches, which I was like, because I never use any kind of fancy stitches at all. I just never do. But but I do like to know how to use the different features on my sewing machine, you know. Anyway, so I'm just gonna kind of eyeball and stitch this together. I'm not gonna even bother pinning it. Just gonna have to take my shoe off, and I am using a foot pedal. This machine doesn't have a push button, so I'm using the foot pedal. So it just makes like a really kind of heavy zigzag. It does take a little bit longer. Definitely takes longer to stitch. When I'm using special stitches like that, I generally like to go kind of a medium speed. I don't like to push the machine, you know, too fast. And since it's already kind of back stitching on its own, I don't worry about back stitching either. Plus, everything is going to get stitched over anyway. So see what a nice dark zigzag that is. I just love it. I know. I know, right? I can't believe it. Yeah. So it's like all these sewing machines, even like this is a super simple machine. Like it's very basic. And I'll tell you what's really nice about the Fashion Mate though, is that it's all metal inside. It does have a plastic case, but it is a cast metal like frame inside. So they're extremely durable. These machines are really tough. That's all I could say is that's really the best thing about it. And so it'll last. That's what I really wanted. I have another Fashion Mate. It's an older one, but I wanted one of the new ones because I wanted to try it. So okay, so this one I'll stitch just on the regular zigzag so you guys can see the difference. Just eyeballing it, you know. And so I'm going to do two rows of stitching on here because I'll show you why. I want to take some of those the Canta quilts that I got from Rosemary. And I can't believe you got those in that box, Rosemary. That was like insane. She got 3 Canta quilts in this little tiny box. So see the difference? Can you guys see the difference? It's like, it's just thicker. It's like a thicker line. I guess that's a bad fabric to show you on, but see what I mean? Anyway, I was excited about it. Okay, so then see how this has like a lot sticking out at the back? I'm just going to go ahead and run another straight stitch down that just to kind of tack that down. I've got my tension set at about 3.5, and sometimes with a really wide zigzag, you'll notice that it will cause the fabric to sort of pucker a little bit. And you can see how my top thread is coming through to the back. That means that my tension is a little bit high still. So I should probably lower it a little bit more. If I don't want that puckering, even though nobody's going to see the back of this, I kind of like to at least keep that as smooth as I can. So, but see how using that starch just makes handling these pieces so much easier. It really does. It's like pretty amazing actually. Okay, so I'm gonna put this on there, and then this is that lighter tea towel. Actually, I'm going to turn this upside down. So I want the raw edge at the top. And then this will be here. Okay. So this is our front and back for now. I'm not going to do any more stitching on these. I'm just going to kind of set them aside for now. And I'm going to see what I'm going to do about pockets. Okay. So I want to do something kind of pretty for the pockets. So that's why I gave you guys some kind of, you know, like needleworked piece. And the chenille would work great for pockets too. And then some kind of like more sturdy fabric. See, like I've got this pile. These are more like kind of like duck cloth and stuff. This was a pair of Oshkosh, little baby Oshkosh overalls. I might use a piece of that. Oh, and then I have these pieces that I had cut out already. And I'm going to do some pockets on the front and the back. Of mine. These are just pieces of linen that I tore or cut into different shapes. Oh, here's another piece of a tea towel. And then I want to grab a little bit of quilt top. Here's a little piece of quilt top. So this is kind of where I feel like you could really go crazy. I didn't do that. I didn't go crazy because I want whoever winds up with this bag to go crazy and to embellish it and stitch things onto it and, you know, sew buttons on it or like ruffles or different trims or things like that. Like I want this to be more of a kind of a blank canvas for people to make it their own. You know what I mean? Hi, Kat. Let me just look back at the chat here for a minute. I haven't looked up for a little while. Yeah, I love that really thick zigzag. It's just cool. Yes, you definitely need starch, Lisa. I think it just makes such a huge difference. Yes, Deborah, I use it for sewing. I use it for paper. I use it for book covers, fabric. I've been using it for everything. And the thing about it is that it wasn't super expensive, you know, like, I mean, you can spend a lot of money on a sewing machine. There's a Janome that I have saved on Amazon that I've been looking at. It's like $1,000. But you know, I don't know if I want to spend $1,000 on a sewing machine. So that machine, I think I paid, you know, Joann's has sales on sewing machines all the time. So especially like the Singer machines. I think I paid about $150 for it. So yeah, they are super expensive. Yeah, and the small little brother machine that I have that I've been using for years on videos and stuff, I've never had any problems with it either, except for one time when I was trying to clean it out and I lost a little. The only thing I have to say is that it's really difficult to get inside the machine yourself to clean it out. And that is a problem. Like back in the old days, they made sewing machines where, the user, the owner could work on it. They made access panels, they made things open up so you could get to it and oil it and clean it and take care of it. And now it's like they want you to take it to a sewing machine shop. So they don't make things as accessible. They're supposed to have less maintenance required too, which I think is part of it. But when you're sewing a lot of paper on one of those newer machines, there is quite a lot of lint that builds up. I have a horrible hangnail. There is quite a lot of lint that builds up inside the machine. So at some point you got to get it out of there. And I accidentally dropped one of the little teeny tiny little screws that held part of the bobbin casing or, part inside the machine, and I couldn't get it out. And I just got so frustrated with it because then I was trying to take the whole machine apart to get that little screw out, and it was like a nightmare. So I just put all the screws, all the parts that I had gotten off, and I put it all in a bag and took it to the shop, and they fixed it. But yeah, it was kind of frustrating. Yeah, I know, blow the lint out, except for blowing the lint out, if the lint doesn't have anywhere really to go, like sometimes it's hard to get it all out. So anyway. Yep, for sure. Anyway, so I just wanted to tell you, like, if you have pulled out a bunch of stuff that you want to, add on to your bag, I would get that stuff out and just start kind of laying it out as we go along. And you sort of need to think about what you want to hand stitch and what you're going to stitch on using your sewing machine. Okay, so right now I'm just trying to find some pieces that I can sort of layer to make some like layered pockets. So I'm going to take a little piece of this. This is pretty thin, so I might wind up folding that back and just stitching along the top just to make it a little bit more sturdy along the top. And then I don't want to cover all of it, but I don't mind covering up some of that embroidery. Okay, so one thing to think about is when you're going to attach this pocket to the, I'm just going to put that on top of there because I don't want to cover up all of that embroidery. Anyway, when you're going to attach this to the bag, you got to stitch it on somehow, right? So it's, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Basically, I know I can stitch down here, and I could just go straight across here. I don't necessarily need to stitch this down because this could actually be loose on the bag. So I can stitch across here and down here, but then this part needs to get stitched down too, right? So I've got these pockets that kind of extend out over that side. And I'm going to have to stitch this piece to this middle piece. But if I do that while these are all three together, I'm going to stitch all three together. So I've got to stitch these two first. And what I want to do is make like a little pencil pouch. So I'm just going to stitch straight down here, across here, and then I'm going to leave this open. And then when I'm stitching the whole thing to the bag, then it'll get stitched down. This one, okay, it just gets complicated. You have to just really plan out and think about where your stitches are going to go, where your seams are going to be. So I'm just going to lay this out for now. This is one pocket set. Okay. Now let me just figure out what I'm going to do with the next one, because I do want to do one on the front and one on the back. Okay, so this will be one part, and I want to use, let me get my pinking shears. It's so hard to explain this stuff, but you'll see what I mean. You do wind up kind of having to start and stop your stitching a number of times. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make this one piece. Okay, so I'm going to stitch this onto this little piece, and then that's going to be one of my pockets. And then this will be, let's see, maybe that one can go underneath, and this one here, and then this one kind of over like that. Okay. All right. I don't really think these need to be starched. This piece of quilt top, even though it's a little bit flimsy, I'm not going to worry about it too much. So I have to plan this carefully. Otherwise, I'm going to be ripping out seams. So there's no right or wrong way to do this, you guys. It's just kind of, you know, you just have to think about it. Like, if something needs to get stitched to the layer underneath, you might have to do that as you're stitching it onto the bag. You might have to do it, you know, before you put the whole thing together or something. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that dark blue thread in the machine, and I'll just stitch this one with that thread. Whoops, I want to do a zigzag. You never want to change your stitch while your needle's in the fabric, by the way. I am gonna change this to a little bit narrower zigzag though. Kind of like free form, you know? I never really felt as loose, like with my sewing machine, as I do when I started making these little bags. Like, it's just like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I just started feeling more like the sewing machine was just a tool for me to be expressive in using these fabrics, you know, rather than just always having to attach them to paper or, you know, something like that. So I don't know, it's just really fun. So I'm going to just go ahead. All right, so I want this to be here. Can you guys see what I'm doing? Okay, so I want this pocket to be on this middle layer, but I have to stitch it onto that middle layer first. So I'm only going to stitch it down one side, and I'll show you. Actually, I'm going to stitch it down and then across, and I'm going to use a straight stitch to do that, so it'll be sort of I backstitch a few times at the top of a pocket just to give it a little bit more stability. Okay. So I didn't go across. I just stitched it straight down like that. So it's open like this. And the reason is that I didn't want to stitch across here. If I stitched across right here, that would be the only way I could catch this piece. And there's nothing to stitch to if I stitch down here. So now I'm going to lay it back onto my bottom layer and see where I can stitch to be sure that it grabs. So I'm going to stitch down here. I'm going to do that first. I hope this is making sense to you guys, what I'm talking about. I don't worry too much about trimming threads perfectly. Okay, so see, I've got that stitched on one side. Now I can't just go straight across here to stitch that. That's got to get stitched onto the bag. Okay, so that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to stitch it down onto the bag, and then I'm going to lay that one down, and I'm going to stitch across here, and then I'm going to stitch across here, and then I'm going to stitch across here. So there's quite a bit of, you know, lifting and resetting it, like resetting the seam or whatever. So what side do I want to put this on? I think I'm just going to put it right on top of where that pocket is. I'm just going to put it right there. Okay. So I've got this laid out. And if you feel more comfortable using pins and pinning things in place, then, you know, you should probably do that. But I generally don't. Okay, so can you guys see this? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this in the machine, and I'm going to stitch across here and up. And then the next one is going to go here, just a little short seam. Actually, I don't have to do that. I can do that at the same time that I do this bottom. So really then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stitch here and up. And then the next seam, I'm going to go here, down, over. And I might be able to actually do all of those in one stitch. So let's see how that works. I think that's probably what's going to work best. So I'm just going to, the last seam will go here, down, over, and then straight up. And I think I'll be able to catch all three pockets. Okay, so it's going to go in the machine like this. I'm going to fold it down. The other thing that's really nice about using that spray starch is that you can kind of finger crease things. Like you can put in, I've got my pocket with, or my, I've got both layers of my panel here, okay, with the pocket on top of it. But it's nice you can just crease things with your finger, and it'll just kind of hold it, like without having to iron it, or, you know, to hold things. Anyway, you know what I mean. Okay, so I'm going to do this with a zigzag. I'm going to make it a little bit wider. I'll show you how it'll work out, Lisa. That one little bit, we'll just see when we get there. All I know is that at this point, all I know is that I've got to stitch this bottom piece down. And I need to make sure that I'm not stitching through the center of this pocket. Okay, so that is going to work. And make sure that you're, you know, not, that this isn't folded under or whatever. I actually did that yesterday and I got super upset about it. Okay, so that, like that. So this is stitched down. Next goal is stitching this. Yeah. Okay. So I need to stitch this across here now. Does that make sense, guys? Are you following me? Yes, it is frustrating if that happens. Okay, so I just want to make sure everything's laying down. And then I'm going to stitch right across the bottom of just that middle layer. I know this looks like a pain. It kind of is, but I don't know. It's not that bad. It's just a lot of threads. Just a lot of threads. It's kind of like using glue, right? You're using thread like glue. Okay, so now I've got to get this little piece closed. This little piece that's open still needs to get closed out. So I'm going to stitch across here. This is already stitched on. And then I need to tack this down across the bottom and then up. Yeah, and you're probably right. Like, I think I can do it with the zigzag. If I just go straight up like this, that'll catch all 3 pockets. I'll just have to keep an eye on it, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be fine. Okay, so now I'm going to stitch here. And I'm going to do some back stitching, so I want to make sure that that stays. Okay, and then turn. Come down just a little bit. I just thought about that pocket. Is that the pocket you were talking about? I think that is the pocket you were talking about. Hold on. This is the first time I've made one of these where there was a pocket already on the fabric that I was working with. So let's see. So I want this to be kind of in line with this seam. If I make a mistake and I screw it up, then I'll just fix it. You know what I mean? Okay, so how's this going to look? I think it's going to be fine. I'm just going to stitch right along that edge. So this pocket will still be open. When you stitch the other side, it'll go through a little bit of that one pocket. Is this what you were talking about, Lisa? This pocket? The pocket that was on that apron? Yeah. Okay. Well, it's good you were looking ahead because I wasn't. But see, that's all you got to do. You just got to think about your placement and like the you know, the layers, and you know, you might have to stitch it a little bit at a time, but you can do it. It's not impossible. So now I've got my pocket almost all the way stitched on. Now I'm just going to stitch this last seam. And I'm going to actually go all the way up above that green pocket. And I'm going to put it on a really wide zigzag. And let's do it with that. Let's do it with that other zigzag, that real kind of wide one. Yeah, and if it winds up being a little tiny skinny pocket, then it's a pen holder. Perfect. Oh, I think it's going to be great. Okay, I think we got it. So that's pretty fun. Okay, so we got this pocket is fine. This pocket is fine. It's all the way stitched at the bottom. This pocket is fine. And now we have this little pocket. Yay, it worked. Okay. So then we have this one. So this one, I actually do want to kind of make, I really don't want to cover up all those flowers. I'm going to just do this one a little bit simpler. Okay. So here I am going to stitch in a couple of like pen holders. I'm just going to use a straight stitch. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, it's doing that weird thing. Okay. Okay, so I just stitched around the outside of that. This is just going to be flopping there. It's just going to be like that. And then let's do 2 little pencil pockets or whatever on the front of this. Okay, lots of threads, but those will all get kind of trimmed off, you know, later. I'm not going to obsess about them. Okay. And then this guy, oh, I got to stitch this down. I don't want to have this because this fabric is really thin. So actually, I'm going to put something else behind that. Make it a little stiffer. I just want something super plain. Oh, I know. I had it already. There it is. Okay. So I got a piece of this. This was actually a tablecloth. Okay. So this is going to go behind this kind of like as a backing, just to give it a little bit of stiffness. And then I'm just going to fold it over and zigzag across the front of that. Okay. So that's just going to give it a little bit more strength. Okay. And then this guy, go back to a straight stitch. I'm going to go ahead and stitch down this side on this anyway, even though I'm going to be going over it again when I attach it to the bag, but I'm just going to stitch it on there because I want to make sure that it stays straight. I'm going to go back to a zigzag. And I kind of extend my stitching like past where it needs to go, and I do a lot of back stitching, and just it's just kind of messy stitching, you know. And I just think it's kind of fun. It's like it's like sewing, using the sewing machine just as a tool. I guess it's always a tool, but it's just I don't know, sort of like, doesn't have to be as precise as you think, you know. Anyway, so that's my little pocket, and this is going to get stitched on to the other panel. Here's my other panel. Okay, so this guy's just going to go right on there. Okay, I'm going to put that on with a straight stitch. Okay, I got to look at the, yes, without being serious. Exactly, Deborah. That's what I mean. It doesn't have to be so serious. I mean, I can do that. I was actually thinking about doing a quilt, like making even just little tiny squares, you know, like a crazy quilt. But I don't know. Yes, shabbiness. Exactly. So, speaking of shabby and chic and all that, like I said before, you obviously could add all kinds of things onto these pockets. You could stitch some rickrack, or, you know, I have this this is like fringe that came off of a tablecloth, and I was thinking that might be kind of cute to just add a little bit onto one of these pockets, or even across the bottom of my bag once I get it done. And I think that's what I might do. I might just stitch a piece across the bottom before I put it together. So, but a little bit of rickrack on here would be kind of cute too. Let's pull out a piece. Or maybe I'm just going to use a little piece of this green rickrack. This is new rickrack. It's not old vintage rickrack like I like to use, but I'm just going to run that across the top here. Okay, now I'm going to make sure I have both layers of my panel, and it's kind of lined up. So I have to think about, I'm going to do my drawstring in this kind of area. So I got to leave a little bit of space there. Make sure there's enough room for doing that. Again, I'm not holding anything down with, you know, pins or anything. I'm just kind of how I do a lot of stuff. I just kind of eyeball it. So yeah, I was thinking it would be kind of fun to put together some sort of like boho-ish kits, drawstring bag kits, using that some of the Cantha quilt fabric that I got from Rosemary. Okay, so I got to be kind of because I have a whole bunch of other like bedspreads, kind of like Indian style bedspreads, you know, tapestry or whatever. And, you know, some of those pieces that have like the little mirrors and things like that, I thought that would be kind of cool to use to make some drawstring bags. Happy Sunday fun day to you too, honey. All right. Yes, it definitely lets your creativity breathe. For sure. Thanks, Lisa. I like making kits. Okay, so I'm not going to stitch that on yet. This little piece keeps talking to me. I don't know. Okay. So then we've got to make our pockets for the drawstring. And so normally what you would do is you would fold this back. You would probably stitch this, stitch that neatly there like that. And then you would fold this down and you would stitch that across. But before you did that, you'd have to stitch up these two sides so that you didn't have a raw edge right here. You would basically need to hem the whole thing. And I just don't feel like doing all that. So I just fold this over and stitch it across. The only thing that I do is I try to be sure that I stitch these both at the same seam, like the same width. Okay. So what I've been using is just like, the seam guide on your the bed of your sewing machine. So I've been just going at 1 inch. Okay. 1 inch, or sometimes I just use the edge of the little plate there, that metal plate. And as long as you make them both the same, it's fine. Like, it doesn't matter, the back and the front panel, but you do want them to be the same because you're going to line them up when you stitch the two pieces together. So I do a bunch of back stitching at the beginning and at the end of this seam. Okay, I do a bunch of back stitching here and here. Okay, because that's where the most wear is going to be on your bag. Now make sure you have this going the right way. Like, you want it right side up, Anyway, so then I'm just going to stitch across the top of this one and make my pocket. And I want that to be the same as the other side, as the back panel. So this width is the same as this width, pretty much. Okay, so then you want to put them back to back. You might want to get all the lint out of them as much as you can. Maybe trim some of these loose threads. Those are kind of annoying. Trim some of these. I wish you guys could show me what you're doing if you're working on a bag. Okay, so then I just want to put them back to back. Okay, so this is how it's going to get stitched together. I'm not gonna put these face to face and then turn it inside out. I'm actually stitching it the way it's going to be used, if you know what I'm saying. So I want to line those up. I want these seams to be in the same place, and you really kind of need them to be. And then, however this winds up laying is fine. But you do want to make sure that everything is laying flat and that you're not accidentally stitching a corner in wrong or something like that. You want to make sure that, nothing is folded in. Just make sure everything is laid flat. Okay. And then this is going to get stitched with a pretty wide zigzag. And then I'm going to start my stitching right at the edge of that seam. okay, to go that direction. So I don't want any stitching above that seam. And I'm really going, I kind of back stitch like 3 or 4 times. So I don't want to stitch over this little flap. So hold that up. Oops, hold on. Down a little more. Okay. So you want to make sure now that you're stitching both of those lining pieces together, so that, you know, you want to make sure that they're long enough. Make sure that the bag is sealed up at the bottom. And then, so if you're trying to make it a specific size, you know, then that's where you need to maybe mark with a pin where, you know, where you're going to stitch this together. Mark it with pins or something, or maybe even just a little pencil mark or something like that, where, you know, your width, you know, if you know that you need it to be a specific size, well, then you got to make sure that you have your fabric, you know, torn or cut to that size, and then, you know, maybe add some extra. I'm going to cut that off. So you can see on the back how my top thread was coming through, because my bobbin thread is white. It's left this kind of weird looking stitching on the back. And that has to do with the tension. And a lot of times when you're, you know, stitching different weights of fabric, and maybe your threads don't match, like your bobbin thread and your top thread aren't exactly the same weight. Sometimes that'll cause issues like that. But to be honest, like it's sturdy enough. It doesn't really bother me. It's not going to hurt it, you know, structurally. But it's not exactly what I would want, because that kind of makes it look like this is the back. And I sort of wanted it to be unnoticeable what was front and what was back. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so what I've been doing is to do my drawstring. So see why you want to have like tops. You want to do a bunch of back stitching at the top here, because this is where your bag is going to get the most stress, is right there on that corner. Okay, so you just want to make sure that you stitch that really well. Now, if you have a lot of fabrics kind of sticking out from this line, you might want to cut some of that off. And I'm actually going to just kind of cut this at a little bit of a kind of a curve. Okay. Just because that makes it a little bit easier to get the drawstring in, and also less excess fabric right there on those edges when the bag is closed up. So I'm going to use that same cotton. This is actually what is it? Macrame cord. I got it on Amazon. If anybody really wants a link to it, I can put that in the description or something like that. But it's just macrame cord, and it was kind of like the best value for the weight that it is. I think it's a good weight. I think it's 4 millimeter, and it was, I don't know, I think it was about $15 or something for that. for that size roll, and that was a big roll. I bought that because that's what I sent out in the kits. Okay, so to figure out how long you want your drawstring, you kind of got to think about how you want to carry this bag. You know, like, do you want it to go over your shoulder, or do you want to just hold it in your hand, or do you want to make it like a backpack? If you want to make it like a backpack, then I would recommend measuring from here. And when I say measuring, I just mean pulling it out. So you want to go from here up to there, all the way down to this side, and then back again. Okay, because that way, when you pull the bag tight, okay, I'll just put this one together as a backpack, and then I'll show you how to do it, you know, just like kind of regular length. Then basically just means cutting the string shorter. If you don't want to make it like a backpack kind of style, then I would just go across the top and then back like that and cut. Okay, you do want to leave a little bit of you know, extra. So, but we'll just pretend, we'll just do this one. We'll stitch it up like it's going to be a backpack, okay? So then this one, and I just tie a knot in the ends of these just to make my life easier. And I think it kind of reduces waste too. So I'm going to go up, over, and then back and down. So it's basically like the whole perimeter of the bag is the size that I'm making these cords. These might wind up being a little bit long, but you can always make things shorter. You can't really make things longer. Okay, so we've got a couple of cords. Now there's these little things that you can use for, they're made for putting in cords or elastic, things like that, things like this. They come as a set made by Dritz. I don't know what they call it at the store, but it's just like a little set that you can buy. It comes in 3 sizes. There's a little small one too. Okay, or you can use like a big safety pin, or you could even use a paper clip, like a big paper clip. What I've used in the past is like a ballpoint pen. I've used a ballpoint pen, and I just take my, you know, you make a knot. I have to make a knot, and then I just hook that under the clip. Okay, and then I can push the pen through and thread it that way. Let's try it and see how it works. It's better with a narrower pen though, and one that's kind of slippery. This one's kind of rubberized, so I don't know how well it's going to work. But we'll try it anyways. So we're going to do one side goes, well, you'll see what I mean. So this one's going to go, yeah, see, it's kind of hard to get it in there because it's a little bit too fat. This pen is a little bit too fat. So what I'm going to try to do, which I don't think it's going to work, but let me put a little piece of tape. I'm going to put a little piece of tape around the end of this so that maybe I can thread it through those holes. If anybody makes one of these bags, I want you to send me pictures. Okay, this might work. Please, please, please. Safety pin is probably the best way to do this. It's probably the easiest way to do this. I don't happen to have a big safety pin. I used to have a diaper pin. Works the best because they're kind of like that rounded plastic, you know. Anyway, so I'm just going to use this. So just something to get this cord through. So it's going to go in that way. And you want to make sure you're going in the middle of the two layers. Like you don't want to go just through one layer. You want to go in between. So there'll be 4 layers of fabric on the top here. You need to go in the middle. So just kind of take your time and push this a little bit and pull here, push here, pull here. Just be patient. When you make 20 of them, it's harder to be patient. Okay, so it comes through. And then we're just going to turn it over and go back in to the other side in the middle of those 4 layers. I know, it'd be so fun to make like Christmassy ones or, you know, whatever. And what a great way to use up like all your scraps, because you could just make like a big crazy quilt kind of thing or something, you know, and then just cut it up into you know, the sizes for a bunch of drawstring bags. What inspired me to kind of do this was Carla sent me a drawstring bag that she made out of a quilt top, and it was really cool. And so it was kind of just inspiring. Okay, so now if you want to make this a backpack, then somehow you got to attach. What I would do is stitch a little loop here, and then you know, you could just tie these down at the bottom. So this is actually the bottom of the bag, right? And then this is going to close up like that, and then you've got your shoulder straps. So there's that side, and then now I've got to do the other side. And to do the other side, you just go in the opposite direction. You could just do one side though. I mean, you don't have to put 2 strings in there. You could just do one if you're not trying to do a backpack or whatever. And I'm just going to put this through one of these holes. Pretty sure that's going to hold. Okay, so since we went in and then back out this side, we want to go in over here, and then we'll go out here and then back in through the back. So it's just the opposite direction as the other one. Sometimes it gets a little cramped when you've got cord going through already, and got to make sure that I'm going through the right layers, and I am. Oh, what's happening is I'm having trouble. I'm getting hung up where I stitched that strip. So I'm actually going to pull this out. Try it again. You know what? I'm going to have to go this way. Yeah, it's getting hung up on that fabric, like right here inside that little pocket. Okay. Okay, so that one, and then okay. You guys know what I'm saying about if you wanted to make this as a backpack, about attaching these down at the bottom. So you do want to make sure that they're the same length, right? You don't want your backpack all lopsided. So then you would you could actually just sew this since it's cotton twine, but I would give it a little bit of, make sure these are evened up. Give them a little bit of slack. Just try to make sure they're the same length. Stitch those down. Use your sewing machine, or like I said, make some kind of loop there, and then thread one side through it, and then tie them together on the other side, and then you would have like a complete little circle. Anyway, so see, this winds up with a pretty long cord, but if you were doing a backpack, that would be plenty of space, If you wanted longer straps, then you could do that too. I'm pretty sure you could probably just tie these together. Let's see what happens. Oh, Kyla. Oh, right on. I want to see, Carla. I want to see. Yeah, see, I just tie that together, and then that could actually just be a shoulder bag, and then to open it, just use a little bit longer cord. Anyway, the other thing you could do would be to, before you stitch everything together, you could actually, on that that inside layer, the liner, and I did this, but I accidentally messed it up and I stitched it together upside down. But you could add a pocket on the inside too. So before you, before you stitch everything together, you could just stitch a pocket on that inside liner, so it would be on the inside of your bag. You could add some flaps, like with like a button, like a flap, and then just stitch a little button on here, so you could close up your pockets, make sure things don't fall out, or like I said, add a little bit of trim. I think I might add a little bit of this across here, or I might, so I've got this opening here, maybe I'll just stitch it in the middle there, and then it'll kind of just hang like that. You know, I'll stitch it on in between those layers. So, but I just think these are really cool for, you know, especially if you're into doing like slow stitching or something like that. Give you something that you can embellish that's just, you know, like a sampler or something. And, you know, just to play around with. If you have some really cool buttons that you love that, you know, came off of a garment or something, or, you know, just little doodads that you come across in your travels, you know. I have a whole box full of them. So there's a lot of different things you could attach on here. You could even do, you know, if you're an intermediate seamstress, can we still say seamstress? Sewer. You could do zipper pockets here. That might take a little bit more, you know, thinking, but if you know how to sew in zippers, that's an idea. That's an idea. So, yeah, I think it's cute with the fringe too. I like it. You know, you could add little pom poms, or, you know, pom pom trim would be super cute, right? Some little pom pom trim. Carla loves her some pom pom trim. But, you know, you could do your drawstring with seam binding, or see. So I take the blanket binding, the satin blanket binding, and I get it wet. Just get it wet and crinkle it up. Just get it wet, crinkle it up, and let it dry. And then it comes out kind of shabby looking, right? You could totally use this for your drawstring too. It's nice because it's satiny, you know, and it's kind of slippery. You could use a pair of shoelaces for your drawstrings or whatever. Just ideas. Just thought I'd give you some ideas. You could even stitch all kinds of things onto your string. You know, you could add buttons on there as long as it, you know, they didn't go on, you know, where it needs to go inside. But anyway. Okay, what are you doing? I'm going to try this with my rusted eco printed bag. Yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you, Malia. It's nice to see you. Yeah, absolutely, Deborah. It's pretty fun, huh? I mean, you could do anything. But as far as the structure, that's about it. I mean, that's really, and I like to leave these little pieces kind of hanging out, because this gives you the end user, you know, things where you could attach things, or you could put a key ring on here, or, you know, whatever. You could safety pin little things onto it and that kind of stuff. So anyway, so it's just kind of fun and just scrappy. You know, this side has 5 pockets. So anyway. Yeah, I actually picked up this book. It's you know, you could stitch your little pieces of scrappy trim onto it. I picked up this book that was, it's like 200 braids. I think I got it at the thrift store. So I thought that would be kind of fun to learn how to do some different kinds of braids, you know, with different cords and things. So, or braided fabric strips. So anyway, I guess that's it, guys. So leave a comment or something if you're watching this on a replay. Make some little scrappy drawstring bags, you guys, and tag me. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Tag me, give me a thumbs up, and all that good stuff. And if you would like one of those kits that I showed at the beginning, I do have 8 of them left. So let me know if you'd like one of these. Like I said, $25 plus $9 for shipping, and you get plenty of fabric to make a couple of bags. You'll have to add maybe a little bit of your own trims and things like that, but all the basics are here, you know. And you could actually probably make 4 bags with what's here. You got tablecloths, pieces of different tablecloths, and you know, the crocheted trims and some embroidery, some chenille, some heavier like upholstery fabrics, some linen, things like that. Some of that really cool daisy upholstery fabric, and then probably about 5 yards or so of that cotton cord. Okay, my email, silveroranges@zoho.com. Thanks, Josie. I'm glad you got your kit. So just send me some pictures, you guys. I really, really would love to see what you guys make. And Carla, you especially would like to see what you picked up at the thrift store. So I went to an estate sale the other day and got a couple more vintage sheets. So I'm still on the lookout. Anyway, okay, guys, I'm signing off. I'm gonna go watch Little House on the Prairie. Mary just went blind, so I'm excited to see what happens. Okay, guys. I love you. I'll see you next time. We'll do this again. I think this was pretty fun. So, all right, guys. Bye for now.